Awesome. Thank you, Christina. Can you hear me all right? Okay, cool. All right. So again, my name is Charles Kyle. You can call me Chuck. My company is Adapt Digital Solutions, and my second company is Groundwater Digital, both marketing agencies. And, we work with a lot of groundwater companies. So the title of my presentation is Building Better Businesses Using the Internet. And I always keep it kind of vague so that once I get up here, I can kind of just talk about whatever's going on right now or whatever I think is most important. And after seeing this presentation, one of my employees said, you should probably call it How to Apply Your Online Dating Skills to Getting Customers Online. And you'll see why in just a moment. But starting from the beginning, about 6 years ago, I was Googling the term marketing. I knew that it was something to do with business, but I didn't really know what it was, what it meant. And the reason why I was Googling this is because I was a superintendent for a remodeling company in Portland, and it was just my dream job. And we had a really awesome project going, and all of a sudden we found that the project fell out and we didn't have any customers, we didn't have any prospects. We were kind of just dead in the water. And I was basically about to lose my job. So it's like, why did this happen? And the owner of the company said, I'll never forget. He's like, I always knew that I should do marketing, but I always just put it off and never thought it was that important. But that's probably what we should have done. And I was like, marketing, what is this marketing thing? And so I put it into Google, and the definition is the action or business of promoting and selling products and services. And I think a better or easier way to look at marketing is if a business is like a car or a vehicle, then the sales is like the engine and marketing is like the fuel that you put in the tank. So if you don't put any fuel in the tank, the engine is not going to be driving the car forward. And that's how it is with a business as well. If you don't have any sales, you don't really have a business. So I was like, okay, well, what if I just do this marketing thing and we can get some sales and then we can keep working? So thankfully, we live in the internet age, and I'm able to go online and learn just about anything. And so I bought a couple courses. I learned how to build website, and I learned how to advertise on Google. And after a couple hundred hours of trial and error and thinking that I was like this expert marketer all of a sudden, I managed to get some phone calls coming in. And after we got the phone calls, I went to these people's houses and, talked through their project, did some estimates, started selling projects, and we had a couple projects on the books. And I thought, man, this is the coolest thing ever, because I always wanted to be in business, but I didn't really know, anything about it. I was just a carpenter. And after going through this experience, it was like, cool, like I have a skill now that I could use to drive a business. Because after all, if you have sales, like you have a business. And so I had this brilliant idea of, okay, well, I'm going to quit this job now, even though I just saved it. I'm going to start a marketing company, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I did. And my former employer, that company became my first client, and they're still one of my busiest clients today. So I would call that a success. And right now I've got a team of awesome people working with companies like that all around the country. And we're fueling businesses is how we like to call it. And the reason I'm here is because a lot of our clients are groundwater companies. So well drillers, pump contractors, treatment companies, consultants, stuff like that. So I did a similar talk to this at Groundwater Week last year. And that one was more about some of the technical things you can do with websites and online to get better results. So I don't really want to repeat myself and content that's already available out there. You can go on my YouTube channel and check out that presentation. I'll show you where the link is at the end of this presentation. And you can go there and like get some more information about this. But this one today is going to be more about big picture stuff. It's going to be more about like the core principle or the core philosophy behind the marketing that we do. And I think, as a business owner or someone who might not be thinking about marketing all the time or ever, I think it could be helpful to have just a general philosophy to have on it, as opposed to getting all caught up in the technical details. And it is like 5 a.m. here, so I will be sipping coffee, so excuse me. So the core, our core tenet through all the marketing we do is customer experience. And we did not invent this. This was like the core tenet of one of the biggest companies on the planet, Amazon. And you can go back and watch interviews with Jeff Bezos of him, saying, look, everything we do is about customer experience. And that's really true. Like probably all of us have used Amazon. I know I use it all the time. Just last week, I ordered a new bed frame on Amazon. So I'm just moving into a new place. And the bed frame arrives and it's gigantic. And it's sitting there on my floor and I'm getting ready to carry it up the stairs. And I noticed that it says queen on it, even though I have a king size bed. And I'm like, oh, great. Like this isn't going to work. Let's go return this. So I went on to Amazon's website, went to return it, and it said, this item is not eligible for return. And me being the kind of person that doesn't give up that easily, decided to call them and see what I can make happen. So gave them a call. And the woman on the phone was like, yes, this item's not eligible for return. You can either donate it or dispose of it. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. You're telling me that I'm stuck with this bed and you just think I should throw it away? And she's like, yes, sir. How would you like your refund? Would you like it on an Amazon card or your credit card? And I was like, wait again. You're telling me that I get to keep the bed and you're going to give me my money back? And she's like, yes, sir. And that is an example of putting customer experience first and foremost, because that's the absolute best thing I could have hoped to get as the customer. And they just ate a little bit, they took a little loss on that, or somebody did, but, they solidified my patronage of Amazon forever, basically. I mean, you can't really get a better experience anywhere else. So we work to emulate that as well. When we are confronted with a decision, a fork in the road, we always choose whichever fork is going to lead to a better experience for our customers. And since we're doing marketing, a lot of times that means our customers. And the reason why this is like the core tenet is because this is what we do in our businesses all the time. Like that's what you do every day. You bend over backwards to give people the best experience possible. You call them right back, you answer all their questions, you empathize with them, you do the best work that you can, you try to set them up so they won't have any problems in the future. Like everything that we do as business people is trying to provide a great experience for our customers. So carrying that mentality through our marketing, it just is common sense. And we can learn a lot from the poor saps trying to date in today's world. On the internet has changed the way that people have to operate. And you'll see there's a similarity between online dating and online marketing. So let's just look at that for a minute. So the whole game of attraction throughout all the animal kingdoms, it's pretty much the same, humans included. So typically males work really hard to demonstrate their value to females. Guys are always trying to impress the girls, and then girls do their best to choose the most valuable guys, or the ones that they perceive as valuable. And it's in today's world, it's a bit different. Like back in the pre-internet age, I guess we could call it, guys had a lot of time to demonstrate their value. People spent their time in the real world, in their communities, and a man could demonstrate his value by having a great job, being an upstanding citizen, having high status in his community, all these different things. And over time, the females around him would see that, oh, this is a valuable guy. And that's kind of how the game worked. But these days it's a little different because people are spending all their time online, and the attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, and everything's based around instant gratification. So instead of having all this time to demonstrate your value, you just have a dating profile. And there's things like Tinder. If you're not familiar with Tinder, you look at someone's picture, you swipe right if you like it, you swipe left if you don't like it. Like it's basically a few second decision. And so if you might be the most valuable person on the planet, the nicest, most successful, most upstanding citizen ever, but your profile is horrible. And so nobody swipes right. Nobody, you don't match with anybody. And the opposite is true as well. You could be, the biggest POS person on the planet, but you have an amazing profile and everyone thinks you're awesome. And so this has forced people to have to learn how to work on their advertised value and not just their real value. It's not only important to be valuable for real, but you have to know how to demonstrate that on the internet. And that's how it applies directly to business. In the old days, communities were in the real world. And as a business, you had plenty of time to demonstrate your value, to do a good job, to let word of mouth take effect. And, that's information traveled by word of mouth. These days, it travels mostly on the internet, and that trend is continuing to rise. So achieving a high advertised value allows you to build a better business. And hopefully, if you can align your core tenet of providing amazing customer experience, then you are becoming valuable and you're having high advertised value. And if you can really lock this down and figure out how to just demonstrate your value online, it can help fix a lot of problems. Maybe not fix them entirely, but it helps with a lot of things. Most of the time we come into a project and our main goal is to attract new customers. That's what everybody thinks of when they think of marketing. But there's a lot of things that end up happening afterwards. Like I have a lot of clients who use a portion of their website to attract employees. They have career pages, they advertise those, they have incentive programs. Websites can attract potential buyers if you were to want to sell your business. A really good website makes it not only possible to find you online, but when someone sees it and they're looking for a business or an investment, that's going to appeal to them just like an online dating profile would. And I know a lot of people are super busy right now, so they're just like my old boss. They're like, oh, well, I'm not going to worry about marketing right now because I'm so busy. But, the economy ebbs and flows, and someday it might not be also good. And so those companies that have figured out how to get found online and demonstrate their value online are going to get the majority of the customers there. And when there's a quarter the amount of customers, that's going to be a really big deal. And then I put making easier to sell your goods and services, because I have a handful of clients who actually use their websites to help sell their products. So, if they're sitting down with someone, they'll pull up a page on their site to help them explain something or to show them example of a project. And so it becomes a tool for them as well. And in my opinion, you have to adapt or die. Like one of the core values of my company is grow or die. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And so in my opinion, the name of my company is Adapt Digital Solutions. So adapting is something that's very important. And my goal for you on this talk is just to leave this class with a clear idea on how you can use the internet to make your business stronger rather than weaker. And so for the rest of this talk, we've got 5 things we're going to cover. We'll start with talking about Google, the king of the internet, basically. Then we'll talk about the anatomy of the Google search. Like when you actually type something into Google and you're looking at it, what are you seeing? Third, we'll talk about Google Maps, which is Google's search engine for local businesses. After that, we'll do a short demonstration and just pretend that we're a customer looking for a business on Google and walk through what happens when someone's doing that and try to get into their head. Like, that's what marketing really is understanding the customers and what they're doing, and then being able to make that experience better every step of the way. And then at the end, we'll come back to customer experience, which is the golden rule of online marketing. So starting out with why Google is the king. It's good to be the king, I don't know if you guys have seen Tiger King on Netflix, but if you haven't, you should probably not watch that because it's the worst show ever. But for some reason, I could not take my eyes off of it. So Google the king. Millions of times a day, somebody needs something, local good, local service. The only way they know how to do it is they whip out their phone and they type what they want into Google. And what they see is a screen that looks like this. Let's see, make sure that you can see that. Okay, well pump repair. So at the top of the screen, you've got advertisements. These would be Google ads. So this is where you can pay Google to be seen up at the top. And we'll go through each one of these kind of areas. There's 3 areas on the Google search page. We'll start with Google advertising. So Google makes trillions of dollars from their advertising. That's their main way of making income. And for us as business owners and marketers, it gives us the opportunity to skip to the front of the line, make an agreement with Google that we'll pay them every time somebody clicks on our ad. So anytime someone clicks on this ad, that company is paying Google anywhere from $2 to $180. That's the range that I've seen. And so that as you can see, that could get pretty expensive. And it's cool because you can choose like what you show up for. So you obviously don't want to show up if somebody's looking for Tiger King, but if someone's looking for a well driller near them, then that might be something that you want to show up for. And you can also control the locations on which it's shown. And you can always identify the ads because it will say ad next to it in really tiny print. I'm not sure if it was up to Google, I don't know if they would show you that it's an ad. But at the same time, it'd probably be pretty bad customer experience if they didn't. So real quick, pros and cons of Google advertising. It's super fast. Like starting today, I could have some ads running in a few hours from now and be starting to attract people to my website and be getting phone calls. And it also allows me a lot of control. Like I said, you can control what keywords you show for, locations. You could tell it what time of day you want to show, what kind of person, like demographics, all sorts of things like that. Some of the downsides, though, is that it's super competitive. The reason that it can cost $180 for one click is because it works on a bid system. So if there's 3 companies bidding and one of them's bidding $5, if I wanted to show up above them, I would have to bid more. So let's just say 6. And then guy 3 comes into the equation and he wants to show up on top. So he bids number 7. And that cycle repeats until it gets to a high enough point where it stops being profitable. And then it kind of settles around there. Because if it's not profitable, people aren't going to do it. And so that's why naturally over time, the price of Google ads always hovers right around below profitable. And as a new person coming in, if you're competing with a company who's already figured out how to make $180 clicks profitable, it could be a pretty daunting task to try to come in and compete with them. So high cost is a huge downside most of the time. It's also a really steep learning curve. It's super easy to sign up for Google ads and start doing it. But it's even easier to just lose all your money and not get anything for it. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people just don't think that it works, because they tried it once and it didn't work. But Google wouldn't be making trillions of dollars from it if it wasn't working. And then I tend to find that it's lower quality inquiries that come through this. I mean, if you think about it, I just searched for this ad was placed in front of me. A lot of people will just click on the ad, fill out the form without even really thinking about it. And those people tend to be, lesser quality inquiries than someone who, tracked you down, looked through all of your stuff, read your website and all that, and then contacted you. So that's relative. So that's Google Ads. It's always going to show up at the top, and it often shows up at the bottom as well. Google Maps is next. We'll come back to that in a moment. We're going to skip to Google Search. So Google Search, this is like what Google used to be. Most of us probably did Google 15 years ago. All it was just a list of websites. And this was like back in the wild west of the internet days when, everyone on the planet saw the same websites for the same search, and half the stuff was like super random. And everyone says, or used to say, you can't trust anything you find on the internet. And it's kind of ironic because these days Google shows you like this catered search based on your profile, and they show you all the things you want to see. So everybody feels like they can trust everything they see on the internet. But I think that tenet still holds true. You shouldn't trust everything that you see online. So Google search, the original, there's many pages of results. Like up here, I just typed in well pump repair in Malad, Idaho, and there's 155,000 search results for this. So lots and lots of pages. You could probably spend the next week just scrolling through all the search results for this. And people like me often skip the ads and just go straight down to the search results down here. And I think that's two reasons. I know for me, like, I don't like ads. I do everything I can to avoid commercials and advertisements. But also people that were used to Google before, they have learned to trust the search results that they found down here. And so they always skip to that because they feel like this is where they're going to find, the best search results. And at the end of the day, Google's main goal is to show us the best search results. The better that they are, the more people will use it. Some areas of the world, over 95% of people are using Google. And then the more people that use it, the more people that are going to be exposed to their ads and have opportunities to click on those. So pros and cons of being, getting your website to show in the search area. It's free to be found there, meaning you don't pay per click. Once you're on top of the list, Angie and Yellow Pages and MPI, once you're in these spots, it's pretty easy to stay up there. On the flip side, it can be challenging to get there. So that would be maybe a con. And then I find that we have very high inquiries, and that goes into what I've been explaining is people really trust the search results. So when people go down here and they see, a directory and a company, they might click on the company and be thinking like, okay, Google showed me this at the top of the list. It's probably the best option. So that's Google search. Next, we're going to talk about Google Maps. And the reason I saved it for last is because you always save the best for last. Google Maps is this little box up here. Now, 40% of people are going to skip the ads, me being one of them, and they're going to scroll right down to this Google Maps box. And there's all these colors and stuff going on, and it really draws people's attention. And people have learned that this is where they can find local companies. And so of my clients, over half of their new customers that come online are coming from Google Maps. So that's why I like to focus on it the most. Most lucrative place to be for local businesses. That's why this is Google search engine for local. So it shows the map right here. If I'm this searcher and I live in this area, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to see this map with my area, and I'm going to instantly know, okay, I'm in the right spot. Like this is what I'm looking for. So let's just look at this for a second. You scroll down, you see the map that confirms you're in the right location. And then you've got these little stars that indicate that there's reviews, and reviews have become like one of the most important things when it comes to making buying decisions online. It's like the online equivalent of word of mouth. And if reviews are available about something, that will be one of the primary decision points for people. And so we'll go through this in a second, but those reviews are super powerful. So taking every opportunity you can to get someone to leave a 5-star review on your Google Maps listing, that could come back and pay huge ROI in the future. So pros about this area. One of the biggest pros is that you're not competing with national brands. And what I mean by national brands is like Angie's List, Home Advisor, Yellow Pages. These companies have basically built multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar empires on figuring out how to show up on Google search and wiggling their way in between contractors and customers. And so, they used to be pretty good. They used to be helpful, but these days I get calls every day from people who are wanting to sue them because they're they're causing them to go out of business or whatever. So I'm not a huge fan. And when it comes to ads, like being found up here at the top and being found in the organic search, you're always going to be competing with these corporations that are able to spend millions of dollars to be found there. But they can't be found in this Google Maps box because this is only for local businesses. So unless you happen to live next to Angie's List headquarters, they're not going to show up here. And consumers have also picked up on this too, because a lot of people, they scroll through here, they don't want to find a directory or an Angie's List. They're looking for actual companies, and they know that they can find actual companies if they hang out in Google Maps. So that's a huge, huge point. You don't pay when people click on any of this stuff, and it's free to have a listing. So, it's crazy not to. Even if you've never signed up for it, chances are you have one, because Google automatically creates them for a lot of people. If that's the case, though, you definitely want to sign in and try to get control over that, because you want to own that if you can, or at least control it. It's found on top of the search results page. So if there's ads, it'll be right underneath the ads. A lot of times there aren't ads, and this just shows up right at the top. And it displays all sorts of important information. So not just reviews, but phone number. Sometimes it'll put like a testimonial down here. Lots of good stuff. And so people are able to get a lot of the info they want right there. A lot of people will just click on one of these and just, press the call button straight from here. So super awesome. The only con that I have on here is that if you're not in the top 3, no one's really seeing you. And what I mean by that is if you click on view all, you can see that there's actually tons of companies in this area. But on the search page, there's only 3 that show up. So if one of these 3 has some good reviews, or all 3 of them have good reviews, chances are they're going to get all the attention, and no one's ever going to click on this view all button. So that's something to think about. So that's Google Maps. Let's pretend, let's just go through the search as if we were a customer. So as you can see, I left the screen, I came back, and now the ads are gone. Google's trying not to show me the ads, but I'm the kind of person who would have skipped them anyway, so I don't really mind that. So let's say I just moved into a new house. I was having an issue. I have a well now. I've never had one before. I'm assuming since no water's coming out, there's like a pump issue or something. So I type in well pump repair, Mallard, Idaho. And the first thing I see is Google Maps. And the first thing my eyes gravitate towards is these reviews. So, okay, 5 stars, 2 reviews, 4.2 stars, 11, and then 5 stars, 1. So 1 review, that kind of might disqualify them a little bit. But what I would do is I'd open these up and I would read these. So, this person has 2 reviews. Well, stop pumping water. Hey, that's the same thing that's going wrong with mine. So I might, if some people will just click the call button right here and just call, I'm the kind of person who would go click onto their website, and I would look through, and the first thing I'm looking for is like red flags. Like I've already decided that this company's probably got what I want. They had some good reviews. Now I'm just looking for any reason not to hire them. And I mean, the website looks clean, professional. Here's some information about them. Okay, well pumps, it said that a few times. So if I'm like in the office or something and I can't call right now, I might fill out this request a callback form right here, ask them to call me back, or press contact and go fill out a form or whatever. A lot of people, if they're looking for something a little more high ticket than like a repair service, like maybe they need a well drilled, they're probably going to look at a few options and call a few options, and they're just going to go through this process over and over again. And since there's a few companies here, and then when I start looking down here, here's this one again, MPI, saw them twice. I would probably click view all, and I'd start going through these, and I would call a handful of them. And I would just run through the same process, vet their website, look for confirmations that they're in the right place and they do what I want them to do. And I would look for some information about them, like who are these people, or do they seem like a real business? Because there's a lot of websites online that there's like no mention of the people that work there, no pictures or anything. And so, a lot of those are scam websites or just lead generation websites. And so, that's kind of how people will use Google to find what they're looking for. And I recommend doing that, even if you're not a marketer, like do that on a regular basis. Just type in your service in your area every now and then and look through and notice, who are you seeing when you find yourself, like, how are you coming off? Are you providing a great experience to people? Because the experience starts the second they start reading your name on here, and it goes all the way through until you've done an awesome job for them and you're asking them to leave a review on here. So paying attention to the entire process can have some serious benefits. So back to the golden rule of marketing: customer experience. And I call it the golden rule because it's do unto others what you would have them do unto you, or just treat others how you want to be treated. And if you pay attention to this stuff, you look through your website through your customers' eyes, you ask them for feedback, you can really make their experience better. And you can get more perceived value or advertised value online by just being valuable online. And like I said before, Google's main goal is to show people the best search results. So there's a lot of marketers out there who they're trying to game the system. And I even tried to do this in the beginning because I thought that's what it was all about, is how can I figure out how to trick Google into showing us on top, because that's going to get us all the customers. But over the years, I realized that if we just align ourselves with Google's goal of showing the best search results, and we just be the best search results, we won't have to pay as much attention into all those other technical details that everyone else is always fumbling over. And we could just focus on providing an awesome experience. So, helping people find the info they're looking for, giving them multiple ways to trust the company, writing the content on our sites and on our marketing in the most simple way we can. A lot of folks just mash a bunch of words, post it on their website, and never look at it again. But you have to refine that. You have to keep working on it until you can't make it any better, and explain things how you would explain it to somebody in person. And if you can improve the customer experience every step of the way, then you'll reap the benefits. And one technical reason why this works is because Google is like the all-seeing eye on the internet. They are literally tracking everything that's going on. Like anyone who has an Android phone, Google is watching everything you do through your phone. Google obviously sees every search that's made on Google search, and they've got software installed on almost every website out there. And so Google can see when you open your phone, what you search for, what websites you land on, what you do when you're on those websites, like what pages you look at, how much time you spend. If you click the call button, if you fill out a contact form, they can tell if you press the back button and keep searching, because that would indicate that you didn't find what you were looking for. And so if a lot of people are finding your site, spending a few minutes there, filling out the contact form, and then closing the tab and ending their search, that's a signal to Google that that person found what they were looking for that search, and that you were a good option to show them. And that happens enough times, Google's going to permanently stamp you on the top of the Google search because you are the best search result. So at the end of the day, Google knows more about what's going on our websites than we do. And you can just improve the performance by providing, giving people what they're looking for and providing a great experience to them. So, at the end of the day, you want to be shown here on the top of the Google search, in the Google Maps box, in the regular search. And then if you are at that point and you even want to expand further, you can buy Google Ads and you can show up top as well. And at that point, you're pretty much maxing out on your exposure on Google. So real quick, 3 ways to improve customer experience on your own website. So like I said a moment ago, explain things in the most clear, concise way that you possibly can. Videos are really helpful. If you could just record a video and throw it up there explaining some of the questions that you get asked every single day, or some of the concerns that your customers always have, you put a few of those things on your site and people are going to not only feel better about what's going on because they understand it, but they're going to view you as an expert for having shared this information with them. And they're like, people are always wondering three things. Can you do what they want? Can you do it in the time frame that they need it done? And can they afford it? So addressing these things in your marketing can help, give people some certainty or, at least closer to certainty in the interaction. And I always like to show the faces of the people behind the business. So if you have a big crew, show a picture of your big crew, a bunch of smiling faces. If it's a family business, have some pictures of the family, have pictures of the people that work there or that run it or whatever. Like give people a story to tell. One reason why word of mouth works so well is because people love telling stories. They understand things in stories. So, if the story is, oh, this well company came out and drilled a well and now water comes out, that's not nearly as compelling as, oh, they're a family business. They've been around in this area for over 100 years. The son's taken over the business and he came over and he helped me through everything. And they drilled the well and it works great. And then there was an issue one day and they came back and the technician, Steve, fixed everything and he was amazing. Now, that's a kind of story that people can tell and it's interesting enough that they will tell it. And so helping give people that story will really help, the word spread about you. And you don't have to like bend over backwards trying to be interesting. Everybody's interesting in their own way. So just kind of talk about yourself a little bit. It's okay. And then lastly, give people multiple ways to contact you. So like I showed you on this website here, they've got phone numbers, they've got contact forms, and they have this request a callback form. And some people like to throw their email up there. I don't like putting my email on my website because that just invites all the spammers and whatnot. But if you give people multiple ways to contact you, you'll get more contacts. And there's also option for a scheduling app. So my family still runs the remodeling company that I grew up working in. And last year we implemented the scheduling app, which is very similar to this one here. So on our website, we would let people fill out the contact form. And then once they did, they can go onto our calendar and pick a time to have their in-home meeting. And we made it so that all of these meetings happened on Friday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And every week our estimator would open up his calendar, see the 4 meetings that were there, and just go and meet with people. We got to avoid all the phone tag and all that kind of stuff. And our customers really liked it because they could come to our site. They found us online, came to our site, vetted us, filled out the form, and scheduled their appointment all in like 5 to 10 minutes. And they got what they were after and they could move on with their day. So, it really improved the experience that they were having, even more so than I expected. I didn't have a single person complain about it because that was the only way that we were taking appointments. We were so busy that, we had to do that. And it ended up saving us a lot of time and them a lot of time and making them really happy.
Alice, we have one question come in.
Sure.
The question is, how can we personally figure out our standing on Google? Since Google tracks your clicks, how do I know that they aren't catering to my company and putting me first, even if we aren't with our customer searches?
That's a good question. So if you use Google Chrome, you can come up in the top right corner, these 3 little dots, and click on Open Incognito Window. And when you open that, Google, it's giving you kind of like a raw experience. It's not you're not signed in. It's not catering to you. That's one way, but that will nullify like the customized experience that Google gives you, but you'll still be in the same location as yourself. So another way to do it is there's a website called, let me make this smaller. So there's a website called iSearchFrom. So if you just go to Google and type in iSearchFrom.com, this search engine pops up, and you can, you put in your country, your language, English, your search. We'll just do well pump repair Southern Idaho. And then below that, you can type in your city. So we'll do Idaho Falls. And so now you're doing a search that's unrelated to you in a location that you choose, and you can get an idea of who's showing up. It'll show you the ads, it'll show you who shows up in the Google Maps box and stuff like that. So that's one way. And you just have to remember that people are always going to get a customized experience, and how Google Maps works is based off of proximity. So the closer someone is to you, the more likely they are to see you in this Google Maps box. And so getting this thing locked down is going to help you get customers close to you. But if you want to get customers in the next town over, then you have the option of getting a Google Maps listing in that next town. And that's a strategy that we often employ, is helping our customers get established with addresses in multiple areas so that they could be found in this box, in those areas. So I think that answers the question.
Jackie, that doesn't go ahead and write in, but it sounded good. She said it does.
Okay, cool. Let's see, where was I? So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, be focused on what your customers are experiencing. And if you don't do anything, but you do that, like throughout your entire business, like your business will be better than a lot of others. And that's what, it's a competition, it's a game. So being better than your competition is how you get more successful. And lastly, don't be like my old boss and procrastinate this kind of stuff until it's too late. Like, have some sort of marketing plan. It doesn't have to be crazy, but if you pay attention and invest in this stuff on an ongoing basis, it will likely never become a problem. And make sure your staff is on the same page about the customer experience first thing. There's a lot of things that everyone at a company can do to help bring in more customers. And like having a compelling story is one of them. Providing a story to your customers is one thing, but providing a cool story to your employees is something as well. Like, help them go out and tell their friends and family about the awesome company they work at, and how much they enjoy it, and how they're making a difference in people's lives, and how they're the most badass crew on the planet. Like, help them develop that story, and then they'll go out and tell all their friends. And then those friends that environment appeals to will come try to work with you. And it can help solve some of the staffing issues that seem to be plaguing everybody right now. So this is the last slide. What can you do next? I have a website called groundwatermarketing.com that you can go check out. And I've got some resources on there. You scroll down to the second section. There's a link to my YouTube channel. It's called Chuck the Contractor. I post videos on there all the time about marketing and business and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. You can, on that channel, or on right here from this link, you can find my 2020 Groundwater Week presentation video. That's also on YouTube. If you're interested in getting going on Google Maps and you aren't sure where to get started, I've got a free PDF guide that you can download that walks you through going through the sign up process, and how to fill out the listing completely, because that's one of the things that a lot of people miss out on, is they get one but then they don't fill it out, and so it ends up not being super effective. And then lastly, I would love to talk to some of you and learn more about what's going on with you. And in exchange, I'll talk through your business and your marketing and help you come up with a good plan. So my schedule is really full, but for the first 5 people, you can sign up for a strategy session with me, and we can talk about that stuff. So also, I've got a webinar coming up with the NGWA on November 9th at 9 a.m. We're going to be talking about things that we can do in an economic slowdown to, keep our businesses happy. And then lastly, I'll be at Groundwater Week this winter. So if you're there, I would love to meet you. Please come say hi to me. And that's it. So if there's any more questions, feel free. I think we've got like 10 or 15 minutes left.
Good, thank you, Charles. We did have a question. What would you say is a reasonable rate to pay someone to build a basic website?
Well, it depends a lot on, where you're at and what a basic website is supposed to do. Our rates typically start at 4,500 for the entire process of the website getting established on Google and getting set up with Google Maps. So, I mean, that's kind of what we charge. At the end of the day, I focus more on like how much return are you going to get on the investment and making sure that you're investing enough to actually get what you want out of it. Because you can get a website built for a couple $100s, but it might not do anything for you. So results is where we like to focus.
I had inquired about that too as well for other businesses, and we were getting quotes back around $15,000 to $20,000. So I know they vary totally on what you're looking for, what they're able to provide for you.
Sure. Yeah, we used to charge a lot more, but since we only work with specific types of companies, we've been able to really make the process efficient. And, by sticking with what we know and what we do well, we can do projects much faster than others. So that pricing is not just because that's how much it costs, that's how much our clients like to pay for it as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know it's super early there, but definitely appreciate the content, and it's great content. So
Good. I'm
I
glad.
look forward to promoting it on our Facebook page and through our email blast coming up as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if there's no more questions, if you have questions later, feel free to reach out. Groundwater Marketing is my website. Also, Adapt Digital Solutions is the name of my company. So come check us out.
Thank you, everyone. And that will conclude today's session.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See ya.